The smell of lilies and old regrets hung heavy in the air, a choking reminder of what we'd lost. My mother's funeral, a day meant for solemn reflection, became another stage for Gideon. He stood at the podium, tears carefully cultivated, his voice trembling with practiced sorrow as he delivered the eulogy. And then he looked directly at me, a subtle, venomous shift in his gaze. "Our dear mother," he began, "a woman of such grace and resilience, always had to carry burdens alone, bravely facing even her final challenges, sometimes without the full support she deserved from those closest to her, especially when financial matters became complicated." The implication hung like a shroud. I was the negligent son, he the valiant, suffering guardian. My face remained impassive, a canvas of calm, but inside, the gears were turning, precisely, relentlessly. He had no idea the real complication was already meticulously documented, waiting for its grand reveal. Gideon and I were brothers, separated by 3 years and a world of temperament. He was the golden child, charismatic and effortlessly charming, always drawing the spotlight. I was the quieter one, the builder, happier sketching designs than holding court. We'd grown up dreaming of a shared future, of building something together. I still remembered the summer we spent meticulously planning and constructing an elaborate treehouse in the backyard. Gideon drawing the rough sketches and me figuring out the structural integrity, scavenging wood and nailing every plank. He took credit for it with our parents, of course, for the vision, while I just enjoyed the satisfaction of a solid structure. That was the first minor red flag, easily dismissed by a younger Elias who just wanted his brother's approval. Those early days, filled with late-night talks about shaping skylines, made the later betrayal a gut punch. Our golden period arrived in our late 20s when we founded Horizon Designs, our architectural firm. Gideon with his gift for gab smoothed clients, while I translated their vague desires into tangible, breathtaking blueprints. I poured my entire inheritance, close to $80,000, into the seed money, working 17-hour days, often sleeping on a cot in the office. Gideon handled the financials, insisting it was his strength. We took trips, celebrated successful bids with expensive champagne, and envisioned a future where our names were synonymous with innovation. I trusted him implicitly, believing his ambition mirrored my own, that his word was as solid as the foundations I designed. He was my brother, my partner. What could go wrong? The first real crack appeared subtly. Gideon started spending lavishly. A new luxury car, designer clothes, extravagant dinners, far beyond what our profit margin suggested. When I questioned him, he'd laugh it off, saying, "Elias, relax. I'm just taking some smart risks, investing in a few side ventures. It'll all pay off. You worry too much." He'd flash that charming smile, gaslighting me into thinking my concerns were unfounded, my financial caution a weakness. It was a familiar pattern, one I'd tolerated since childhood. The pattern of disrespect quickly escalated. I remember a pivotal pitch meeting for a major downtown project. I had conceptualized a unique, sustainable design element, a vertical urban garden that Gideon had initially dismissed. But there he was at the podium, presenting my idea as his visionary contribution, basking in the client's awe. I sat there, sidelined, a slow burn starting in my gut. My accommodating nature had kept me silent, focusing on the team win. Then came Incident 2, a financial blow. Gideon borrowed nearly $50,000 from our joint business account for a nebulous personal investment opportunity he claimed was time-sensitive and highly lucrative. He bypassed standard procedure, not even bothering to create a formal loan agreement. At a subsequent family dinner, Gideon held court, boasting about his incredible business acumen, hinting at a secret deal that would soon make us all rich, subtly taking credit for the business's growing success while I quietly fumed. My discomfort was growing into a gnawing unease. The final insult before everything changed was almost casual. During a meeting with a high-profile client, Gideon openly critiqued my latest design concept, calling it uninspired and too conventional in front of the potential investor. He usurped my role, undermining my authority and creative input entirely. The client looked uncomfortable, but Gideon continued, his smile unwavering, his dismissiveness absolute. Several mutual friends and even our Aunt Maeve, who had dropped by the office that day, later mentioned how odd Gideon had seemed, but no one ever directly confronted him. The deeper betrayal was stumbled upon by pure accident. One late evening, I returned to the office for a forgotten sketchpad. Gideon wasn't there, but his desk light was on. Tucked under a stack of old invoices, I saw it. A bank statement, not for our joint business, but for an account I didn't recognize, under the name Phoenix Holdings LLC. My blood ran cold as I scanned the transactions. Large sums, hundreds of thousands, systematically transferred from Horizon Designs and, inexplicably, from my mother's personal investment portfolio. My hands shook as I realized the scale of his deceit. The numbers blurred, but the shock was crystal clear. It wasn't just business funds. He was stealing from our aging mother. That was the moment I finally let myself feel the icy sting of vulnerability, the raw pain of a brother's betrayal. I wanted to smash something, to scream, but a cold calm descended instead. I made a choice, not to confront, but to investigate. The investigation became my second full-time job. Week after week, I delved into the firm's finances, cross-referencing ledgers, scrutinizing every expense report. I discovered phantom invoices, inflated contractor fees, and suspiciously regular payments to Phoenix Holdings LLC, all authorized by Gideon. I hired Marcus Thorne, a quiet, methodical private investigator recommended by an old college friend. Marcus used forensic accounting software and cross-referenced public records. He discovered Phoenix Holdings was a shell company registered to a P.O. box with Gideon as the sole beneficial owner. During this time, Dr. Keon Davies, our family doctor and a trusted friend, also became an unexpected ally. Keon had noticed Gideon's increasingly manipulative behavior towards our mother, whose memory had begun to falter. He discreetly shared his concerns with me, confirming her vulnerability. The worst discovery, though, was the sheer audacity of Gideon's elder abuse. Marcus uncovered forged documents, power of attorney papers signed by our mother during a period when her cognitive abilities were demonstrably compromised, allowing Gideon direct access to her nest egg. He had systematically siphoned nearly $95,000 from her retirement accounts, using the stolen money to prop up his extravagant lifestyle and cover his tracks in the business. I started a physical folder, painstakingly documenting every piece of evidence, every transfer, every date. It was a paper trail Gideon thought he had buried, but I was meticulously unearthing every damning detail. The ultimate public humiliation came, devastatingly, at my mother's memorial service. Gideon, ever the showman, decided to use the eulogy as his final crushing blow. He stood there at St. Jude's Chapel, a place of peace, twisting it into a stage for his performance. Aunt Maeve was in the front row, wiping tears, Uncle Patrick's arm around her. Our cousin Lena sat beside them, her expression pained. Dr. Keon Davies was a few rows back, observing. Gideon's voice broke as he spoke. Our dear mother, a woman of such grace and resilience, always had to carry burdens alone, bravely facing even her final challenges, sometimes without the full support she deserved from those closest to her, especially when financial matters became complicated. He subtly implied that I was the source of that complication, that I had abandoned her, that her unexpected financial strain was due to some unknown external force, certainly not his doing. The gasps from some of the attendees were audible. Aunt Maeve looked from Gideon to me, confusion warring with grief. My face remained a mask, but inside, a seismic shift occurred. My accommodating nature died right there. That's when I knew he wasn't just a betrayer, he was a predator, using our mother's death to further his narrative. He hadn't just stolen money, he was trying to steal her memory, to rewrite our family history. His fatal mistake? He didn't notice the look of deep concern on Dr. Keon Davies' face, a man who knew precisely what condition our mother had been in when those documents were signed. That's when I realized forgiveness wasn't an option. Justice was the only path. I sought a quiet moment with Gideon a few days later, a final test. I approached him, feigning concern, and said, "Gideon, I'm worried about Mother's finances. Did she leave any instructions or a detailed will?" He met my gaze, a picture of false sincerity. "Elias, I've already looked. It's complicated, as I said. Just vague market losses. Don't stress yourself." He even patted my arm, a condescending gesture. "Leave it to me. I'll handle the mess." That sealed his fate. My final accommodating act was to nod, pretending to accept his words. "Of course," I replied, "I'll just need all the financial records from her estate and our firm to properly understand the situation, to help, you know." He readily agreed, confident he had me fooled. Assembling my team was the first step in the master plan. Zara Vance, a sharp, unyielding attorney specializing in corporate and elder fraud, took my case. Her initial retainer alone was $75,000, but her confidence was worth every penny. She had a no-nonsense demeanor and a reputation for dismantling complex financial schemes. I also brought in a forensic accountant, Eleanor Rossi, a meticulous woman with an uncanny ability to spot discrepancies, even in seemingly legitimate transactions. She was instrumental in untangling Gideon's web of shell companies and offshore transfers. Marcus Thorne, my private investigator, continued his discreet work, gathering digital evidence. And Dr. Kian Davies provided crucial context, documenting Mother's deteriorating cognitive state around the time Gideon gained financial control. The evidence collection was meticulous. We compiled 5 to 7 distinct types. 1. Security camera footage from our office showing Gideon alone manipulating documents late at night. One clip even showed him practicing her signature. 2. Text messages, 112 encrypted messages between Gideon and a shell company director detailing the money laundering scheme. 3. Bank statements, irrefutable proof of $285,000 transferred from Horizon Designs and $95,000 from Mother's personal accounts to Phoenix Holdings LLC. 4. Witness testimony. From a former junior accountant Gideon had pressured into backdating invoices who later felt immense guilt. 5. Audio recordings. 3 critical calls Gideon made, unaware I was recording them via a discrete app, where he explicitly admitted to borrowing from Mother and diversifying company funds without my knowledge. 6. Email trail. A chain of emails between Gideon and a notary, indicating a forged power of attorney signature. 7. Photos/screenshots of the forged documents themselves alongside genuine signatures from Mother, highlighting the clear discrepancies. We obtained these through Marcus's tech skills, my careful monitoring, and Eleanor's forensic analysis. There were close calls, like when Gideon almost caught me scanning old bank statements, but my feigned absent-mindedness saved me. My financial fortress was built over several months. I opened new, independent accounts at Fidelity and Vanguard, systematically transferring my personal assets, investments, and my inherited art collection piece by piece. I canceled Gideon's access to all joint credit lines, removed him from all Horizon Designs bank accounts, and changed every password and security question for online accounts. I set up automatic payments for all my solo bills. As a decoy, I left a small, barely funded joint account active, just enough for Gideon to overlook its emptiness for a few more weeks. Zara Vance armed me with powerful legal weapons. We prepared a comprehensive lawsuit for corporate fraud, meticulously detailing the financial theft from Horizon Designs. Concurrently, she filed elder abuse charges with the district attorney's office, citing the forged power of attorney and systematic siphoning of Mother's funds. We also prepared a breach of fiduciary duty claim against Gideon as a managing partner, and documents for a temporary restraining order should he become volatile. Zara discovered an obscure state statute, the Vulnerable Adult Financial Exploitation Act, which allowed for treble damages in cases involving elderly victims. Our backup plans included injunctions and asset freezes, ready for any countermoves Gideon might attempt. The day of execution was 6 months after Mother's funeral. The local community center hosted its annual Heritage Preservation fundraiser, an event I had championed for years, but which Gideon had always dismissed as a waste of good money. I spent the morning in quiet preparation, reviewing the evidence one last time. Every folder was in order, every witness contacted, every legal document ready for service. Gideon, completely unaware, was already at the fundraiser, working the room, shaking hands, playing the part of the grieving, benevolent son, whispering doubts about my commitment to the community. I found him near the silent auction tables, laughing loudly with the mayor. I waited for a brief lull, then approached. My opening line was delivered in a low, measured tone. Gideon, it's time we finally talked about Mother's estate and our business. He turned, his smile faltering slightly. Elias, not now. We're celebrating. I've told you, everything's fine, just a little tight. Don't cause a scene. I handed him a neatly bound folder, its contents a summary of Eleanor Rossi's forensic audit. This is a forensic audit of Horizon Designs and Mother's portfolio, I stated calmly. His eyes scanned the first page, his face shifting from confusion to concern. He tried a nervous laugh. What is this? Some kind of joke? Elias, you're being ridiculous. Don't cause a scene. My response was devastating, delivered without a flicker of emotion. The audit confirms $380,000 vanished. Want to guess where it went? His jaw tightened. Market fluctuations. Elias, you just don't understand high finance. I then displayed screenshots from his Phoenix Holdings LLC account showing the specific timestamped transfers directly from our business and Mother's accounts. His panic escalated. Elias, this is family. We can fix this. I'll pay it back. Just give me time. My voice remained steady, listing the undeniable consequences. Zara Vance, my attorney, has already filed the civil suit. The DA's office has the elder abuse complaint. The bank froze your personal accounts this morning. Just then, Dr. Kian Davies, who I had discreetly alerted to be present, approached, holding a small micro-recorder. Gideon, he announced, his voice clear, I think it's time we played that conversation you had with your mother last summer about reallocating her funds for everyone. Gideon's blood drained from his face. He knew he was trapped. His final desperate plea was a pathetic whisper. Elias, please, our parents, think about our reputation. My coldest one-liner, quiet but utterly final, cut through the noise. You already did that for us. Now everyone knows. The revelation at the fundraiser ignited a firestorm. Gideon tried to deny, then stumbled through weak excuses before fleeing the community center. News spread like wildfire across local social media, amplified by Aunt Maeve and Uncle Patrick, who, after seeing the evidence, publicly condemned him. I maintained a strategic silence, letting Zara Vance handle media inquiries with carefully worded statements about serious allegations being addressed legally. Dr. Kian Davis, having confirmed the validity of my claims, publicly backed me, sharing his concerns about Gideon's manipulation of our mother. 3 months later, the legal resolution was complete. In a tense court proceeding, Zara Vance presented an airtight case. Dr. Davis's expert testimony regarding Mother's cognitive decline and Gideon's manipulative tactics was damning. The judge ruled against Gideon on all counts. He was ordered to pay full restitution of $380,000, plus an additional $150,000 in punitive damages under the Vulnerable Adult Financial Exploitation Act. Gideon was removed from Horizon Designs, his shares forfeited. A 2-year restraining order was issued, preventing him from contacting me or Mother's estate. The district attorney pursued the elder abuse charges, leading to Gideon accepting a plea deal. A suspended sentence, 3 years of probation, and 500 hours of mandatory community service in an elder care facility. The attorney's bill was substantial, but worth every penny. Gideon's downfall was swift and absolute. He now lives in a dingy, one-bedroom apartment above the Greasy Spoon, a diner on the outskirts of town, rent paid by a distant, pitying cousin. He lost his architecture license and currently works as a night manager at a discount department store. Aunt Maeve, Uncle Patrick, and the majority of our extended family cut ties completely. His few remaining friends vanished like smoke. All his personal assets were frozen or seized to satisfy the judgments. The luxury sports car he'd flaunted repossessed within weeks. The public humiliation, the loss of his reputation, was the cruelest blow to a man who valued image above all else. My new reality, however, was one of peace and growth. I renamed the firm to Elias Designs, and freed from Gideon's shadow, I secured several major contracts, expanding into new sustainable architecture projects. The business thrived, and I bought out Gideon's remaining forfeited shares at fair market value. I upgraded my living situation, investing wisely and focusing on my well-being. I could finally pursue passion projects that Gideon had deemed unprofitable. Dr. Key Davies became a cherished friend, and we often met for lunch discussing everything but family drama. My perspective had shifted. I was no longer the accommodating younger brother, but a strong, strategic individual who understood the true cost of trust and the profound value of integrity. Months later, I was at that very same discount department store, picking up some gardening supplies for my new patio. As I rounded an aisle, there he was, in a faded blue uniform, meticulously folding a stack of discounted graphic tees. Gideon caught my eye, his face briefly a mask of shock and shame, before he quickly turned away, pretending to be absorbed in his task. He always wanted to be the one on the big stage, the one people admired, the visionary who made things happen. Now, he was just another face in a fluorescent-lit aisle, folding discounted t-shirts. And the best part? No one was giving him credit for it.